How embarrassing it must be to be a Man City fan and listen to Tottenham Hotspur fans sing to you, "It's happened again, it's happened again, Manchester City, it's happened again." The very chant that everyone else uses against Tottenham. And you know what? They were right to use it. It has happened again. Tottenham seem to always beat Man City at the moment. Their record against them is excellent, even under Ange Postecoglou. But yeah, at home, at the Etihad, Pep Guardiola's new Manchester City with Reinders and Cherky and, Gonzalez and whoever else, Nori, I think he had to come off injured. Loads of excitement. Marmoush, all behind Haaland. Nil. Thomas Frank's Tottenham that missed out on their, a multitude of attacking midfielder targets, of course, most recently, Eze to fierce rivals Arsenal 2. They slapped them 2-0. And look, the stats, they're pretty even, but to be honest, it was a masterclass from Thomas Frank's Tottenham away from home. They ended up with 39% possession, only 1.02 XG to City's 1.51. 2 big chances apiece. They did actually have a couple more shots than Man City, and one more goalkeeper save though as well. And Man City had, much more passes than them. Best part of 200 more passes. Doesn't matter. The eye test will tell the story here. Tottenham had City exactly where they want them. It was pretty miserable from Manchester City, and we thought after they slapped up Wolves a little bit with Reinders in the midfield, is this a new dawn? Could this be a false dawn? By the way, welcome back to the channel, Football Yannick. How you doing, mate? Daily content here of football match reaction, transfer reaction, just big stories, man, generally. So I'm very, very happy to have you all here. Everyone, welcome. I am, of course, a Chelsea fan, but I talk about everything but Chelsea. Sometimes referencing my opinions through the lens of being a Chelsea fan. But yeah, I'm on the road to 20,000 subscribers here, so I'd be super grateful if you wanted to hop aboard and subscribe. Like I said, everybody's welcome. So yeah, man, let's talk about this game a little bit. Wow. City and, I should say, James Trafford in goal looked pretty miserable. Tottenham, let's just have a look. Tottenham lined up with a 4-3-3 formation. Front three of first choice striker Richarlison, flanked by Newman, Kudus and Johnson. Paulinho in the midfield next to Bentancur and Sarr. That's a really good functional midfield that someone like Thomas Frank, who's a great coach of deploying tactical game plans, will look at these really competent midfielders and make a really good game plan. And the back four, really, Jed Spencer's come in. Maybe he's the weakest of the back four. Of course, they've got Van der Ven and Romero is the first choice, and Porro, also very good. Vicario and goals, very serviceable. Now, the defence of Man City was a horror show, I must say. And it's got to start with James Trafford in goal. The second goal was on him. It was a mistake trying to play out from the back. And it wasn't just that moment, man. He looked flustered. Dare I say James Flappered? Terrible joke, I apologise for that. But he just kept charging out. I don't know if this is like a tactical instruction from Guardiola or the goalkeeping coach, but he's always running out. And there was several times that he kept getting away with it. One chance, the ball went over him, and maybe it was Sarr that was coming forwards. I forget exactly who. But had a really high quality chance, and Trafford in no man's land just running out. He looked completely spooked before he had the error, and then that just compounded the situation. And yeah, it didn't look good from the young man at all. He's a great goalkeeper, a great shot stopper. I guess people are still earmarking him as Chelsea. It's just my fandom coming through. The other team I support, England's future number one, maybe. I don't know, there's a few choices now. Dean Henderson and stuff, maybe not as young. But yeah, man, it's very, very... I'd be worried, because there's talks about Edison maybe going to Turkey. Is it Galatasaray he's been linked with? I forget exactly who he's been linked with. So he should start this game. And as soon as he made that mistake, it went to Edison sitting in the stands looking on. But to be honest, none of the defence looked good. So they had Rico Lewis and Ray and Ait Nori in the fullback positions. Ait Nori came off injured. He doesn't deserve criticism for this game. And then you've got Ruben Dias and John Stones, who are really, really high quality centre-backs, theoretically. Do you know what I mean? These guys are like superb. And then you've got midfielders. You've got Nico Gonzalez being the holding midfielder, who's meant to be very good. I know he was being linked weirdly with a move away not too long ago. In the absence of Rodri did make a return. He came off the bench and I'll say nearly scored a header. He put a header right into the hands of Vicario in goal. But, you know, you had Oscar Bob and Marmouche on the flanks, sort of Reinders kind of in a free midfield role. Cherky as well. Now, Cherky did get hooked. I'm looking on SofaScore here, and out of the entire front five, and you can include Gonzalez, 6 with the midfield, Cherky was the highest rated on the SofaScore. But despite that, I do look at him and I think he's not going to be the kind of player that Guardiola likes. Everyone thinks he's going to be this, like, Kevin De Bruyne regen. Kevin De Bruyne worked really hard. Kevin De Bruyne was actually really hard on the ball as well. Like, he looks like a sort of like scaled up little boy, doesn't he, De Bruyne? But if you actually look, he's a big body. Yeah, he's actually a big guy. He doesn't come across, I think maybe because of his boyish features and maybe because he plays with a certain degree of like, well, a massive degree of elegance that you don't think like he's this like lump. But he's really strong, De Bruyne. He held the ball up well. He often worked, obviously he waned in his later years, but he worked really hard. Cherky, I don't want to say, people have said he's going to maybe be a bit too lazy for Guardiola. I think maybe in the Premier League, if you're playing with Wolves and you're knocking the ball around well and you're feeling yourselves and you're cooking, Guardiola will look at Cherky and be like, yeah, you're my man. Maybe in the Champions League, different style of football, maybe he'll look at Ryan Cherky and be like, yeah, you're my man. But in like contested, hard-hitting Premier League games, of which is most fixtures these days, like all teams are good, you know, in this current Premier League landscape. I do wonder if he's going to look at Cherky and think, you know, I wonder if he'll put Marmouche behind Haaland and then play more sort of conventional wingers, or just play Foden on the left and then Oscar Bob, I don't know. But it's very, very interesting. I mean, even when Doku comes on, like, these Man City wingers, man, like, they just no real productivity in terms of them. I guess you get value. I mean, I'm thinking about Savinho as well, who's linked to Tottenham, who might go to Tottenham. Now, they've missed out on all their attacking midfielder targets. But I'll tell you what, they look pretty good to me. But, you know, Savinho wasn't scoring Premier League goals. Doku wasn't really scoring Premier League goals. You see Doku play, he's like Guardiola's wild card, like run, dribble, 1v1, 1v1 take on. It just doesn't do anything. It just doesn't do anything. And I mean, look, I will praise Tottenham in a moment because they absolutely deserve it, but Haaland as well. Haaland is an amazing goal scorer. He's big, he's strong, he's pretty fast, and he will score so many goals, different kinds of goals in the 18-yard box. But you've got to ask the question, is the best version right now, or what version is demanded to be good of Pep Guardiola's Man City? Is it an Erling Haaland true 9 running like that, making these runs? Or do they need the small, diminutive false 9 of old? I think I know they won the treble with Haaland, but I don't think that was the greatest Man City team. And I don't think it's good to be so reliant on goals from Erling Haaland. I support Chelsea. Here's the part of the video where I speak about my club. You know, Maresca signed Delap and Joao Pedro, yeah? And he spoke a few times over the summer saying, no, I don't want a striker that, you know, we rely on for all these goals. I'd rather everyone score goals. Chelsea beat West Ham yesterday 5-1. 5 different goal scorers. Now, of course, West Ham are terrible. We got a couple of set-piece goals and there was a defender and a CDM that scored. But Joao Pedro goes everywhere. He goes deep. He looks like I keep saying Roberto Firmino, like prime Roberto Firmino for Liverpool, that kind of false 9. We've seen great Guardiola teams with, like, you know, Foden playing as a false 9. That season where he played Raheem Sterling really successfully down the middle and they'd just score loads of goals and they'd swarm and be all over you and you were like, what the hell's going on here? But now they're playing this like conventional sort of starting 4-2-3-1 where it's like trying to get to the ball to Haaland and get runs and transitions, and it just looks like such a shell of what a great Guardiola team should be. Of course, they have to play him. They've given him a 10-year contract and they pay him. He's the highest earner in the Premier League. He gets $500,000 every week, $2 million a month. Is it worth funneling that money into that player to play him? I mean, I don't know, man. He's on literally Chelsea reference. Cole Palmer got a pay rise to 120k a week. That's 4 times less than Haaland, and he's our best player and makes us tick a lot better. I know we scored 5 goals yesterday. Right, I'll stop talking about Chelsea, but it's a point of reference. Man City fans, if they're watching, if I can get to any, I'd be very interested to learn their thoughts, if they're worried and how much, and what they think needs to change. Tottenham deserve a great deal of praise. Thomas Frank, I've been saying it, I think he's an excellent coach. I said before they kicked a ball, they're going to be way, way better. They're going to be more robust. He's the perfect coach for what they need. They didn't need a Conte or Mourinho, like, where Levy gets all starry-eyed. Oh, look at the managers I've managed to bring to Tottenham. Ange Postecoglou, with his, just absolute reckless, insane football that, just simply won't work in the Prem, and it's too risky. And I know he stank it up in Europa and managed to stink his way to a trophy, fully deserved, but it wasn't nice football. All Spurs fans would tell you that. They won't care. They shouldn't, right? But Thomas Frank is a big boy manager, right? He was interviewed by Chelsea. He was considered by Man United and all the other big boys. He's a great communicator. He gets goals out of his forwards, and he will make a team that is functional, robust, and won't get slapped. And that is precisely what Spurs need. Spurs need points on the board. They need to not finish 17th in the Premier League. Yes, they didn't get 40 points. Mental. What gets you points? A good, serious, big boy manager like Thomas Frank. He will get them easily top 8. I mean, we'll have to see how they deal with, European fixtures, and if certain players don't get injured, because, look, Paulinho was amazing. They got their first choice centre-backs. Take away one of those and it could be a whole different conversation. But incredible, really, and Tottenham fans should and would be very happy. I must say, inherently as a Chelsea fan, I want Tottenham to lose. There is something likeable about Frank. I enjoyed them beating Man City at the Etihad because Man City have been such a power. Of course, the better you are for a longer time, everyone wants you to lose. That's how football works. Anyway, mental game, very enjoyable. We'll see what happens next. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Thank you for liking this video. Thank you for subscribing. Back here every day, so I hope to see you back here soon, mate. Otherwise, enjoy the football. Peace.